Hello again, live from the FIWARE studios in Berlin. Now we are bringing energy into our FIWARE Smart Fest. It is about smart energy, it is about energy data spaces, and we have some really renowned speaker here in this 30 minutes session about energy. And with this, without further ado, I would like to hand over to our moderator, which is Professor Haider Mecit from the University in Bochum in Germany. Over to you, Haider, to Bochum.
Thank you, Ulrich, and good morning, good evening to all attendees of the FIWARE Fest. I'm very happy to welcome you to the energy sector, and I'm looking forward to two fantastic speakers knowing more about data spaces in regards of energy. So thank you for the introduction. I'm also a FIWARE member of the Mission Support Committee, and I'm especially proud of presenting the head of our Mission Support Committee, Professor Monti. But before we have Rolf Riemenschneider. Rolf is at the European Commission, head of the sector Internet of Things, DG Connect. And he is involved in the research and innovation program of Horizon 2020, and he gained much experience in research and innovation projects, undertaking his activities there. From 2009 to 2015, he managed the ICT activities of the public-private partnership factories of the future. And since 2015, he coordinates the cross-cutting activities related again to Internet of Things in the Horizon program. Inside DG Connect, as you may know, the program, he leads the research and innovation and development of the next generation of IoT, which is a critical technological enabler in regards also of energy. One of the key horizontal activities related to achieving the targets of the Green Deal is the digitization of the energy system. So this includes IoT-driven interoperable solutions and products. And we are looking forward to the first speaker. Rolf, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Haider. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, wherever you are located. It's a pleasure to be here and to introduce briefly, giving the floor to the focus on energy. Let's see if I can go to the next slide. No. Yes, I think we are operating an research innovation space under the Horizon Europe program, launched last year, providing innovation projects to support basically our policy making. And one of the key policies at the moment, in particular in the energy sector, is reducing the carbon footprint, the Fit for 55 strategy, but also to launch a new way of a digital strategy, what we call the digital decade. So policy innovation is the key driving factor for our innovation. And then the innovation space for energy is quite diverse. On the one hand, you have the data space, getting access to the data, smart meter data, data from the demand and the supply side is very important for the future integration of renewables. Interoperability, the architectures and standards in order to connect different systems, to have real time and to have stability of the grid operation. The infrastructure investments, nothing will happen without modernizing the infrastructure, the role of the consumer, and finally, to achieve the Green Deal, you have to decarbonize all sectors at the same time. You cannot do only with the one sector. So you need cross-sector activities. So what we're planning now is a new launch of a strategy, what we call digitalization of the energy action plan. So this DOEAP, the digitalization of the energy action plan, actually has 5 areas. One area is central to the strategy is the data sharing infrastructure. So how to make data available as a source of information to integrate renewables, to control the grid, and to make sure you're using green energy rather than carbon-based energy sources. The empowerment of the consumer as a second pillar. The third one is cybersecurity, carbon footprint of ICT solutions, and last but not least, to foster uptake of digital technologies. Actually, we're working at the moment on a staff working document, and we would need your input. We're planning for workshops and consultation meetings in the month of February, March, but more on that comes later. So actually talking about a common European energy data space, what is it about? Actually, it's to promote a stronger availability and cost sector data sharing in a customer-centric and secure and trustworthy manner, as this would facilitate innovative solutions and support for the decarbonization of the energy system. So here I think you see already the different angles of the strategy of a data space, and we have several policy actions at the moment ongoing supporting this strategy. We try to ramp up the technical feasibility and first cases of business-related issues now with projects we have selected right now, which start in spring. And then in the longer term, we look also for deployment actions, what we call under the Digital Euro program. So the energy data space, as said, the asset is to get access to data, to get information, what's happening from the different objects. In the digital society, information society, more and more assets and objects get connected and generate data, a valuable source of data. And we know from social media and all these social platforms how valuable are these data if you are able to collect it. In the energy sector, the progress is not so advanced. Many particular energy companies have problems to get access to consumer data, and for instance, and also, in other domains, people are quite reluctant to share the data. So what can you do about it? I think before agreeing on sharing the data and thinking about data models, or data business models, we want to promote a reference framework, which is a general framework, general building blocks, which defines how you can get access to the data, what type of data, in which format, what sort of metadata are you looking for, and then before triggering the process. So this conceptual framework is a key asset of our thinking, which at the moment of agreeing to that framework doesn't cost anything, but which needs consolidation and agreement across different actors of the supply chain. So this framework basically represents an understanding, a generalized understanding of the data interface to be harmonized across different assets, across different components and systems, across different value chains, across different sectors. And the analysis of the data exchange layer is of key essence. And how do you organize it? What is the protocol? What's the communication channel? How to secure it? Do we need an identification of the sender? Do we need a blockchain? Do we need a distributed ledger? So basically, this data exchange layer is central. What we see today, that the vast majority of data resides in type of cloud space. No, the hyperscalers show how to make business out of data. The data is in the cloud space, and from there you generate services and applications. An open data framework would entail certain standards on interoperability. Without that, it's very difficult, even if you agree to share data, that data can be seamlessly shared. You may use ICs, a common interface model, the SIM model. You may use data models abstracted from existing protocols and field buses like DNP3 or Modbus. You may look at data models which originate from the energy system, the IEC 61850 or OpenADR. And you may look at ways to describe these data models. So abstraction from the data models is an ontology. First of all, you have to define the data space to describe the attributes of the data. And lately, there were initiatives, in order to have a smart format, in order to convert data from one end to the other and to pass data, to use JSON-LD to translate underlying protocols and to create a common grounds for interoperability and for data exchange. I referred to the smartdatamodels.org, which was originated and created by FIWARE members. And this is a way forward for having data interoperability at a high level and to get consensus across different stakeholders. We're working with different groups. And to give you one example, the bridge extended ESCA model shows a bit, the architectural design and of the interoperability of systems and what sort of data formats are behind that. But also the document on design principles for data spaces created by the CSA OpenDI, supported by IDSA and InnoPay, key elements. So actually, we do not do that as a top-down approach. We work with different position papers and working groups. I mentioned the OpenDI at CSA, and Monti is quite active in that one. He's leading one of the data group. I mentioned the Bridge Data Working Group, the Gaia-X use cases for defining a framework for federated cloud, also with use cases in energy, ETIPSnet, and I mentioned already that our view is to launch a deployment action for energy in 2 years. So in order to achieve the Green Deal, we need to go across different sectors, and that gives you a bit of an overview. What are the relevant target space we're looking at? We know that we need to integrate more renewable energy. We have to work with smart home and buildings. Most of the charging will happen at home. Most of the flexible demand side has to be triggered and has to be controlled in homes and buildings and building complexes. And finally, the advent of EV charging and large capacities of battery storage in these new cars will give you new vector for grid balance, integration of renewables and new services. So that defines a bit, it gives you a bit of a glimpse on the research, innovation, and policy space. And finally, the timeline for that is that we are aiming at the adoption of the new communication on the digitalization of the Energy Action Plan in June. And in February, March, we're going for open workshops and consultation meetings, collecting enough input that we can write sort of a staff working document accompanying the communication. That's all from you. Get in touch with me if you want to be involved, and we will share the information of the dates and the announcement in due time, but most likely also with the support of the CSA OpenDI, and I hope that Antil will give you more the link to the OpenDI CSA. Thank you all for that. Here you have more links also to the OpenDI CSA, to the Bridge Framework, the Alliance of IoTI, and the data strategy. Thank you so much, and looking for a nice event.
Thank you so much, Rolf. Thank you so much for this very nice insight, what you're doing at the European Commission. And me, myself, have to admit that, especially for all Europeans believing in the Fit for 55 program, that this is reachable with the brilliant work of you together with public and partners on the industrial sector. So I think there should be 1 or 2 questions. We will look after them by the end. So I think it is also the perfect fit that after your insight, how the European energy data spaces and what their scope is, to hand over to Professor Antonello Monti. But let me please first introduce him to the attendees of our slot. So Professor Monti received his master degree and his PhD at the University in Milano. And after a time in the industry, he moved back to his university being an assistant professor. Furthermore, he attended a professorship at the University of South Carolina in the US. And since 2008, he is the director of the Institute for Automation of Complex Power Systems within the Ion Energy Research Center at the University of Aachen, the RWTH Aachen, as you know. Since 2019, He is also double appointed with the Fraunhofer FIT. This is an institute for information technology. And beside his, as I already mentioned, his leading membership of the FIWARE Energy Board, he is also now chairing the Technical Activity Council within the Linux Foundation Energy. So as you can guess, we have a perfect second speaker here, and I would like to hand over to you, Antonello, and happy to have you here.
Thank you. You should see my slides now in presentation mode. Thank you very much for the introduction and the nice words. It's a pleasure for me today to focus on one specific project that fits in what Rolf just presented. It's a project I have the pleasure to coordinate as part of my activity in the Fraunhofer. This project is called OneNet, so subtitle One Network for Europe. As you heard before, we have effort to create European level data space, but one of the key applications is to have the chance to create a European really open energy system, which means the goal is to give everybody equal chance to participate to energy systems in terms of market participation, no matter who you are, no matter where you are. So this is an ambition view that is something possible only through the complete process of digitalization Rolf has been talking about, but also requires a gigantic effort on the energy side to define how this can be shaped, how data can travel among different players and stakeholders in the energy systems. And my purpose is here to show you, given the location of this event, how FIWARE is playing a key role in building this architecture. So let me go more in the details of the project. The OneNet project is a project with a goal to create a fully replicable and scalable architectures that will enable all European electrical systems to operate as a single system, and in which a variety of markets allows the universal participation of stakeholders, regardless of their physical location, at every level, from small consumer to large producers. If you compare to where we are today, all the parts in bold basically are novelties. We don't have such an architecture that can go at European level. We don't operate fully the systems as a single system, even if it's an integrated system at transmission level between among all the transmission system operator. But to build OneNet, we need to integrate in a digital structure all the way from the customers to the higher level of the network. This is something of unprecedented complexity. We also talk about a variety of markets, where now we have only the one we call wholesale markets, which deals with large amount of energy that can be traded. But if we want to really unlock the participation of customer, we need a universal participation, but everybody will participate at his own level. And according to classical, I would say, European EU philosophy, everything should be regardless of your physical location. You are in Europe, it doesn't matter in which member state you are. So you see, this project has big ambition to reach a lot of new elements within the energy systems. Here on the side, a first sketch on the complexity, starting from the different level. That means adding the infrastructure that will build the energy, build today, will build the energy system in the future, starting from the grid operators, DSO and TSOs, but also classical market operator, in consumers, and any other source of data, because as said, this is a digital infrastructure. Here brings the challenge of a data integration and homogenization, where a lot of the issues also mentioned by Rolf related to data models play a role. And here you see directly in the slide, FIWARE as a key component with the NGSI elements as a solution for this data integration homogenization. And that opens up all the possible applications in terms of data management, you name them, and there is a huge opportunities. And that determines what we call the data governance middleware, which is the core of the OneNet operation, which enable the top layer, which is a set of new business models and schemes that also will be proved and demonstrated in large demonstration across Europe. And I will give you a glimpse also of this demonstrator. This project, of course, doesn't build this, from scratch. The Horizon 2020 program brought a lot of original contribution on top of which we can build something like OneNet. And in particular, I'd like to mention two key projects that were in a previous round of calls called Coordinated Interface. What is interesting here is Coordinate was mostly driven by one family of grid operator, the one running the electrical infrastructure at the distribution level. Interface, more focusing on the perspective of the transmission system operator, so the highest level of voltage. And here in OneNet, exactly as the name says, we want to bring those two words together. And this project is the first in the history, I would say, in which both association of both levels are working together for this common goal of creating a OneNet. So you understand that there is an unprecedented complexity, but also ambition behind what we want to achieve in the OneNet project. Very important is not slideware, as many people like to say. OneNet is reality with 4 clusters covering the whole Europe. You see directly from the map how broad. And the idea is to really have the first option of what we call the multi-multi demonstration. It means having multi-players, different level, could be transmission, distribution, customers, across multiple countries. And the different color map here shows how we first aggregated, let's say, traditional view is to think at the country level. Here we go over barriers of countries and build these large regions that work together. And this will be the way we learn how to move forward, then to scale to real life and real application. So the OneNet also has a key element to enable this conceptual architecture. And as we have been thinking from the very beginning, we don't want to give the wrong impression that OneNet means one platform. Because as we learn immediately, already in the preparation phase, different member states have already in place some form of organization of their local market. So what we need to do is really this middleware that makes this harmonization among countries possible so that everybody can from everywhere access everything. And that's what is summarized here in the OneNet concept. There are several business and data platforms already active in Europe because this process of digitalization is already on the way. But we need in the middle a decentralized middleware that, thanks to a data management interface, and you see also a FIWARE-based data integration and homogenization, create the harmonization that then can be offered to the higher level use case. So this part, the element in the middle, the decentralized middleware, is definitely the most important piece that creates the innovation we are talking about. Here you see a little bit the same picture in a little bit more detailed part, specifically again going into the decentralized middleware, all the components and the FIWARE context broker as an entry point for any platform, and the OneNet connector as a principle, so that we don't build, as I said, one platform, but a platform or platform, so that we don't enforce from the top a global solution everybody has to adopt, but we allow everybody to talk to everybody. So the two components, as already mentioned, the OneNet middleware and the OneNet connector. This OneNet connector based on IDS specification, and the context broker, as I mentioned, at the center, the FIWARE Orion context broker and NGS API as the two parts, so the IDS and FIWARE, that makes this gigantic operation possible. Here you see the architecture first from a logical point of view, and then the deployment view, which shows that one of the key elements is a decentralized, so that allows in every implementation to have a specific version. To make this possible, we have more than 70 partners working together.
Yes.
And yeah, with this, I think I just want to finish saying everybody can contribute. We have a platform of cooperation called Griffon, because we will build a solution. We want to hear from everybody their opinion and comments on the work OneNet is doing. With that, I complete my presentation, and I see there are still a couple of minutes in case for questions.
Thank you so much, Antonello. Thank you for this presentation. And we are seeing that the importance of cooperation on the European level. And I think another mission and vision is of these research and development projects that we want to try it in Europe and scale up in the world. Because as Rolf introduced before, we are not going to save the climate in Germany or in Europe. It's an effort of everybody. So we want to invite everybody for questions. And I have already one question. And it is from Ali Ardebeli. And he's asking Rolf that he mentioned different aspects like security, cloud technology, etc. in the European scale. But his question is, what about the data centers? So energy is a critical infrastructure entity. So where are these critical data be stored? Rolf, and a question for you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. As shown by Anto in the OneNet project, it's first of all, once you get access to the data, you have the data. It has enormous potential for making decisions, making services, creating services and applications, and having the necessary information for the operation of the grid. And actually, yes, I think that is, we have 80-90% of all cases at the moment are cloud-centric or data center-centric. Meaning you create cloud space and you collect the data. The question is, what sort of scale you're aiming at for your control or for the application. What we are saying is, yes, at the moment, if you look at Apple or and other of these big companies, whatever scale, all data will be transferred to central data centers. It could be in the US, it could be somewhere else, outside Europe, could be in Europe. You're not aware, it's completely application agnostic. If you have sensitive data, you have two options. I think for the energy company, they could build their own data center, which could be quite costly. And they have to build a network in order to transfer the data in time. The other option is you keep the data local, but it's now what we're promoting as a concept from cloud to edge computing and have a local processing. In that sense, if you keep the data, sensitive data local, you gain two things. First of all, you gain on security because you're reducing the attack surface of the data not exposed to the global world. And secondly, you gain time, meaning you can do control and decisions in real time because you don't have to wait for the response of the network or a data which is stored far away. So actually, where's the data stored? It's a good question. It depends on the application first, on the sensitivity of the data, and basically who runs the service. And that is a discussion we have also now in Gaia-X. Can you establish a federated infrastructure for federated data centers or federated cloud in order to also store sensitive data in Europe, so that avoiding that energy companies have to build their own data centers? But it's a relevant question. It's an open question, and there are many initiatives working on it, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Thank you very much, Rolf. And just to hurry up, maybe one short question to Antonello from the same attendee from the University of Santeno. The question is, do you use digital twins for your project that you presented, Antonello?
No, digital twins are not part of the OneNet, but coincidentally, we are running. We are doing this in other projects. Of course, digital twin is a hot topic. And we have a new project that we should start soon with very similar consortium. So the key industry partner is the same in the frame of energy data space, which has been a later call of the European Commission, in which digital twin is one of the key application and use case for a data space. Here in OneMet, the focus on flexibility market, so it's not much in the direction of what a digital twin could offer.
Yes. So from my own experience with digital twins, we are talking about them, but mostly it's, to be honest, a digital shadow. So the difference is that we don't have the live view on what's going on in the grid. So every time that you're not handling live data, it's more like a shadow. Maybe a last question that we just got for Rolf again is, how do you visualize the prosumers in the new energy landscapes, mainly in terms of conditions, how they participate, and what are the benefits, Rolf?
Oh, not an easy question, but maybe a brief answer. If you look at the innovation space, there are many new small companies coming up, with apps for smart thermostat, for well-being and comfort. So the role of the consumer is actually one to look at more comfort, where he's willing to pay for, to save money in view of the high energy prices, the skyrocketing energy prices we see now on the market. And thirdly, to be more green, to use green energy, either generated from its own solar panels or generated from solar panels in the vicinity of the installation. And there, I think there you will see engagement of the consumers. And what we have to work on is to make the market design and the policy domain, the regulatory domain ready, to allow for this innovative services.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. So with these words, I would like to thank you very much, our experts today. And we had a very nice and good insight, I think, what data spaces in combination with FIWARE have as a contribution to the energy world. And thank you very much for your attendance. I would also like to point at the upcoming eWorld Energy and Water Fair. And as we know, sitting in the middle of Europe in Germany, this is the lead fair for the energy world. So you are invited to our booth. We are guests at the Atos booth. And as one attendee that already saw it, I have to point out that we will have again our Lego supported smart city and smart world exhibition. So you just see on the screen a little picture, but come and see it live. We're very looking forward to welcome you there again, also with Professor Monti and myself. So thanks for joining us today. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact press.office@fiware.org. And also you can reach to us via the social media channels that you use and love, like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube or GitHub. And again, all of our presentations will be uploaded in the YouTube channel. So thank you very much. And also at this point, thank you very much for the FIWARE Foundation organization team who made a great job today making this possible.
Thanks, Haidar. The pleasure is ours, of course. So we have an outstanding mission support committee with energy, and I am forever grateful to the work that you do with Professor Antonello Monti, Gianluca, who cannot be here today, Massimo Bertoncini, who is also unable to attend, but you guys are well aligned and a very outstanding example of collaboration and all the things that we can achieve together. So our very big thank you to each one of you for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. And we hope to see you all back tomorrow for more sessions and for the two other sections that is still coming up later this evening. Goodbye.
Goodbye to everyone.